Hello and welcome back to the EMJ GOLD podcast, brought to you by EMJ, your number one open access destination for HCPs and pharma globally. Welcome back, Jade. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. Refreshed and a bit rejuvenated, I think, after our long winter break. How are you doing?
Yes, very good. Very much enjoyed the break, but glad to be back in the studio and excited to be ringing in the new year with our annual predictions episode.
Yes, very exciting.
Very much looking forward to seeing what's on the horizon for 2025. There's certainly been a lot of exciting things going on in the industry. So we've invited some special guests to join us to share their thoughts on what could be to come. But before we get into that, just briefly, why don't we have a look back at the 2024 predictions and see how they fared?
I think that's a very good idea. I'm sure you're all aware 2024 was a pretty eventful year with lots of changes in the industry and beyond. But I do think one main pullout of the year was definitely the evolving role of AI. And one of our contributors, actually, Matt Lewis, who is a pharma AI expert, rightly pointed out that this would be a key theme. So kudos to Matt, he rightly predicted that.
Yeah, green tick for Matt, gold star. No, that's right. He, for one, predicted that we would see generative AI move past the hype cycle phase, which I think we definitely did. He also said that the mundane jobs would be shifted to AI technology, raising productivity and generally just enabling people to do more stuff. And I think we've definitely seen that this year. More of the good stuff, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. More of the good stuff indeed. It extends to content being produced for HCPs too. As Rick Hollis, actually, who's the Customer and Business Excellence Director at Ipsen, predicted in the episode, we have seen a lot more content getting produced for HCPs over 2024. But importantly, it's not only increased in quantity, but quality as well.
Yes, 100%. For example, 2024 was the year that EMJ, our business, started producing interactive content, and we've definitely seen a lot of interest from the pharmaceutical industry with that. It does seem that creating content that stands out is becoming super essential, and a lot of companies are looking for ways to be different. So that was great to see, and great to see that Rick got it right as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He was bang on the money there with a greater focus on better content coming our way in 2024 then. But of course, we also have Claudia's predictions.
Yes, Claudia Martinez also was kind enough to share her predictions with us last year, and she is the Director of Research at the Access to Medicine Foundation. And her prediction was around an improved focus on AMR. And for sure, we saw many eyes on the General Assembly meeting that took place in September on that subject.
Definitely, yeah. This was actually the second high-level meeting on AMR, or antimicrobial resistance, and that led to global leaders making a political declaration, actually, aiming to reduce the number of deaths that are associated with AMR by 10% by 2030. So quite a lofty goal. But it was really great to see that important discussion take place on the global stage. And yeah, hopefully that goal is something we do see achieved when we do our 2030 forecast.
Gosh, yes,
coming up soon.
Hopefully we do. But anyway, I think that is probably enough of the past. Let's get into the present day and see what today's guest thinks lies ahead for pharma. So first up, we'll be hearing from Mercedes Diaz, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Almirall, who, in line with Matt from last year, shares a prediction relating to generative AI. Let's see what lies ahead.
We are very fortunate to start 2025 with so many advancements happening at the same time. One, obviously, and there is this big hype on generative AI. We will hear a lot during 2025. Quantum computation is also delivering those results that we were expecting for so many years. There are other tendencies in the industry, like the use of real-world evidence, and regulators are taking good note of it and guiding on how to use it to accelerate the innovation in our industry. All these things will catalyze, and all these things will have a major impact and are super relevant. But if you ask me, personally, the trend that I would like to see happening in 2025 and accelerating in 2025, and I think it's on us that this happens, is the access to advanced medicines for patients in chronic diseases. And this includes access to biologics, to new cell and gene therapies, and other modalities that are coming. There is a big difference on the impact that these treatments may bring to patients. For example, in medical dermatology, which is the area where Almirall is focused, there are many severe autoimmune diseases, like, for example, moderate to severe atopic dermatitis, where still less than 10% of the eligible patients are treated with biologics. And this is something that I think we need to fight. I think we need to collectively strive to change, because these treatments really can change lives, can bring life back to our patients. So it's on us, on the pharma industry, on the payers, on the scientific associations, on the patients associations, to really make 2025 the year where we bring to the patients what they deserve.
Getting advanced medicines to patients with chronic diseases is such an important issue. I'm sure you agree.
Absolutely.
And as Mercedes says there, the treatments she's talking about do make such a huge difference. So that collective move to encourage those innovative medicines to actually penetrate the market and bring that change to patients, I definitely agree, would be a really positive change to see over the year.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. Loved what Mercedes says. As ever, it's been a pleasure to host her on a couple of our bits of content in recent times. But next up, we are going to be hearing from Jennifer Schranz, another one of our lovely contributors, who is the SVP and Global Head of Rare Diseases at Ipsen, who shares her prediction for 2025. Let's hear it.
What's my prediction for an emerging trend in 2025? I will predict that there will be continued involvement of hearing the patient's voice and having the patient involved in clinical drug development for rare diseases, as well as being involved in understanding pharmaceutical science, regulatory sciences, as well as understanding access and how they can impact the delivery of medicines to their communities. We learn from patients every day, and it's really important to learn that behind every rare disease, there is a community of patients, their families, their advocates, clinicians, researchers, pharmaceutical manufacturers, patients who know that they have support of all of us to try to bring innovative medicines to them, to help them and their families learn to live healthier and happier lives.
Really wonderfully put by Jennifer there. The continued involvement of actually hearing the patient voice will be incredibly important this year, and hopefully will encourage a greater understanding for patients themselves as to their specific role in the ecosystem. I thought that was a really interesting point.
Yeah, same. I really love what Jennifer had to say there about ensuring patients know that they're supported by industry as well. I know the industry as a whole can seem quite far away and siloed to patients, but at the end of the day, they do have patients' interests at heart. So
Absolutely.
I think it's very important to remember. Now, sharing a perspective from the other side of the fence, we'll be hearing from Jonathan Sackier, who is chairman here at EMJ and host of the EMJ podcast. He's a former surgeon, and he shares his prediction for the year ahead.
It's always dangerous trying to predict the future, of course, but I think there's several. First of all the uncertainty that we've had in the world has impacted the way that the pharmaceutical industry and everyone in healthcare and everyone, frankly, has behaved. And I'd love to see that settle down, and I think it will settle down with the result of the American election. There's now certainty about what's happening, so hopefully we still need to look after people, so I think that will happen. I think we will have clarity about the role that AI can and cannot play in healthcare. And I think that we will see the role of the representative, the MSL, the medical science liaison officers, achieve some clarity. And so that we'll have this hybridization of online and in-person. As a surgeon, I relied on reps coming to me with new pieces of kit to make sure that I use them the right way up. So I don't want to lose the human element. So I hope that pharma and the medtech industry and the biotech industry can get that sorted out.
Once again, that old friend AI has reared its head.
It's inevitable, I think.
Yeah, but moving past that, I really like what Jonathan said there about the changes for the MSL in 2025 as to their role evolving to both hybrid and in-person. I know it's something that's been discussed in the industry a lot, but it seems like 2025 could be the year it happens.
Absolutely. It was really nice to hear about his reliance on the human element of the MSL as well. Clearly, they're not going to be going anywhere, which is great news. I think the person approach is still very much key to make sure HCPs feel valued and heard and, real partners with industry, and basically to enable patients and drugs to be connected in that way. So yeah, great to hear.
Agree. So lots to look forward to for the year ahead, clearly, but it sadly can't all be sunshine and rainbows. So next up, our guests will be sharing one thing that they hope will stop seeing in healthcare as we move into 2025. First up, let's hear from Mercedes.
The one thing that I would like to see stopping in 2025 is siloed mentality. I think we need to break the walls, open the doors, and collaborate more. This starts with our R&D and innovation processes. More and more we need mathematicians, physics, of course data scientists, but why not disciplines like anthropologists or psychologists in our innovation process? In my regard, this needs to be a continuum of talent and knowledge that circulates, and with that I think we will be able to catalyze all these trends that we were talking before and bring the next leap of innovation in our industry. Same happens with healthcare delivery in my regard. We need to also break walls. The lack of integration and coordination sometimes of our healthcare systems drive patient journeys that are not optimal, with sometimes delays to diagnosis or wrong diagnosis, duplicated testing, and at the end of the day, not the best outcomes and not the best experience for patients. So more coordination is needed. One example of this is mental health. It's very well documented that many diseases, and especially chronic debilitating diseases, course with mental impact, and still this is delivered in silos across the healthcare systems, and is not there is not a balance between mental and physical treatments. In medical dermatology, for example, up to 25% of patients with psoriasis or eczema may have depression and anxiety, and treating depression and anxiety will improve the outcomes of these patients and will improve their diseases. So integrated care models that promote collaboration and communication among healthcare providers should be, in my regard, prioritized.
Well, break the walls and open the doors. What a great way to put it. I think it's something we've heard before, but it's always important to discuss. Getting people with really diverse talent bases and knowledges around innovation tables could definitely help the industry move forward with better treatments for patients and far more. So yeah, some great insights from Mercedes.
Yeah, I agree with you there completely. I especially liked when she spoke about how patients aren't getting the best experiences at the moment. I know this is something obviously the world is seeing a lot, especially in mental health. But yeah, breaking down those silos could really help people live better. And that is ultimately what the industry is setting out to do. So yeah, hopefully something we do see.
Absolutely. Next up, though, let's find out what Jonathan would like to see stop in 2025.
You know, one of my big bugbears has been, I wish the pharmaceutical industry would stop apologizing and would come out front and center and say, we are so proud of what we've achieved. I think through my professional lifetime, without the incredible advances in pharmaceuticals, in medical devices, in biotechnology, so many lives would have been lost. You know, I was at a luncheon with some, should we say, gentlemen of a certain age, all around my age, and I was looking around the table, and there was a guy there who'd had a ruptured thoracic aortic aneurysm. There was another chap who had an implanted defibrillator. There was another chap who has prostate cancer, metastatic prostate cancer, and is being treated. They're alive because of the advances of the industry, and I want to see the industry stop hiding under its shell. I'd also like to see the industry and the medical profession and the publishing world all come together and say, we have got to address the way that clinical trials are done so that they're done more effectively, more efficiently, so we can get treatments to the patients that we can help faster. And that means getting the regulators around the table as well, because you get an approved drug and then you wait 2-3 years and people are dying whilst they're waiting for the drug to reach them. And finally, I'd love to see all the compliance stuff. I wish we would stop throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And, you know, in my rather long career, frankly, have I met some bad actors? Yeah, absolutely. Can I count them on the fingers of one hand? Absolutely. The vast majority of people who work in healthcare are good, honest people of the highest moral standards, the highest ethics, the highest integrity. And I'd like to see us proudly proclaim that.
Some very warming words for industry there from Jonathan. He's right, though, the industry has worked so hard to make these breakthroughs in medicines and devices that are ultimately keeping people alive and healthy. So why not shout about it?
Yeah, I think his point around not throwing the baby out with the bathwater was an interesting one when it comes to compliance. I think compliance sometimes gets a bit of a rep of being a blocker to innovation, but it doesn't have to be. I think it's just figuring out how to navigate it, and hopefully as awareness becomes better around this area, it will be improved in the next year.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's definitely something to be navigated, not resented. That's a brain for you. Finally, though, let's hear from Jennifer.
Yeah.
What is one thing I'd like to see stop happening in 2025? Well, let's talk first about what I would like to see continue, and that is really being grateful and for having positive intent on changing the world for a better place. I really would like to see continued support and even more support for the rare disease ecosystem, from drug development, research, pharmaceutical legislation, regulatory sciences, patient advocacy, working together, collaborating, realizing that we learn from each other, and we really can't be successful without each of us doing our part. I hope all of us can come together and realize, by ensuring that there is a important and sustaining rare disease ecosystem, that we truly can make a difference in the lives of these patients with rare diseases. With over 7,000 rare diseases in the world, 96% don't have a treatment. And it's only through this collaboration and partnership, and all of us doing what we can we make a better world for 2025 and beyond.
Well, quite the positive spin on the question. She's right, though. It would be great to see that continued support from different areas of the industry for the rare diseases ecosystem, and a really nice reminder from her of just how much a positive impact that cohesive ecosystem could have with patients with rare diseases.
So lots in store for 2025, it seems. I'm sure we've all got some big resolutions and goals for this year too. And luckily, we were able to hear some of Mercedes's and Jonathan's. Should we listen in?
I'd love to hear them.
One important personal goal for 2025 is to devote more time to foster younger talent, and very especially women that may benefit from my experience. I think role modeling is very important, and I want to particularly focus on foster curiosity, stressing the importance of staying curious and have this constant, continuous learning during your career, and focus on generating value, not on escalating positions, but really having impact and enjoy the journey. I think this is a big duty for all of us that are more senior in our careers, and I'm embracing it in 2025 with a lot of enthusiasm, and I will enjoy it, because it's a joy to help others and to see other people achieving their goals.
Distilling it down into one goal. I'm not a big believer in like New Year's resolutions. I think you have a mandate for how you live your life, and I have my rules and I stick to them. I try to stick to them. But every day, what's one of my personal goals? To continue doing what I love doing, which is being involved in innovation. It's thrilling, it's exciting, it's occasionally even successful. And you know that if you're doing well by doing good. So yeah, I'd just like to continue to cast a shadow. That's probably my top goal. Continue to cast a shadow and continue to be privileged to do the things I love doing.
Well, what a wonderful way to end off the episode. Isabel, you got any goals for 2025 you'd like to share?
Ooh, that I'd like to share. I've got a few, mainly around wellness, spending less time on my phone, reading more, just living a bit of a simpler, more peaceful life, I think.
Oh, very calming.
What about you, Jade?
I think 2025 is the year I learned to drive.
Yes.
My first driving lesson was in, I want to say, 2019. It's time.
The time has come. The time has come.
The time has come as well, I think, for the end of today's episode.
It has.
Yes, thank you so much to our guests, Jonathan, Mercedes, and Jennifer, for
Yeah.
joining us today, and thank you all for listening.
Yes, we're going to be kicking off a new season of the podcast next week, and we've got a very exciting guest kicking off that season, so do subscribe if you're not already. Until then, though, bye from us.
Bye.